to the Side Sessions podcast, where everything is all about dance music, dance musicians. We represent dance music right here. And we're coming to you live from the Africa Rising Music Conference. Oh my goodness. It's like the energy of dance music is all around us. It's fun. And if you're not here, shame, maybe next year. So today I've got a musician and DJ joining me all the way from different places, funny enough, from Zambia, but currently based in Spain. And we're going to get to know exactly who he is right now. And without talking too much, I don't like to talk too much. No, I'm joking. help me welcome Mukuka right here on the Side Sessions podcast. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Let's get to know you.
Yeah.
Let's get to know you. You call yourself what did you call yourself? The zebra?
Yeah, the zebra.
The zebra DJ. Tell us about that, actually.
So I think of myself as a zebra because I am half white and half black. My mother is white, European, Greek. My father is black, African, Zambian. And I think the zebra is the only animal that is perfectly white and black. Like, we don't know whether it's white stripes on black or black stripes on white. And it's because of this symbolism that I'm calling my debut album, which actually comes out next month, June 23rd, Zebra. Just that, plain zebra.
Love that. Okay, first of all, before I forget, I'm going to need how do I put this? I'm not going to say I'm going to need to be on the mailing list, but...
Of course I'm going to send you a copy, of course.
Okay, awesome. Glad we're getting that out of the way. So we want to get to know you and your journey in music. Tell us about that. We understand that, as I understand it, you have a number of years under your belt. Paint us the timeline of your musical journey.
So I fell in love with music when I was pretty young. I think maybe 7, 8, playing recorder at school, like we all did, the torture that this education system put us through. Although it's a beautiful instrument, but it hit me quite strongly. And I think taking it one step further back, when my mom was growing up on a small island in Greece called Kefalonia, she really wanted to learn how to play a music instrument. I was raised by a single mom, by the way, which is why my mother is a big figure in my life. But her family could not afford to give her music lessons.
Sure.
So it's one of those things that she wasn't able to do for herself, but made a promise to herself that she would do it for her children. So I have 2 sisters. She ensured that each one of us picked an instrument. And at the age of like 8, 9, she found me a guitar teacher, but the guitar didn't really stick with me. So my sister continued and I went on to the keyboard, the piano. And I started to take theory lessons and practical lessons. But my true passion was hip hop. So I started making hip hop beats, had a hip hop group. I was a rapper and producing myself at the age of like 13. So throughout my teenage years, and my rap music was pretty vulgar because my influences were like, Dre, Tupac, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, 50 Cent. That was the hip hop that I grew up listening to, having been born in 1992, so in the early 2000s. And my mom wasn't super excited about the hip hop side of things, but she was happy that I was also studying music formally, getting a classical background. And then when I was about 18, 19, the transition happened. I left hip hop and kind of just naturally started to fall into the electronic music side of things because I felt like I could express myself better. I could fuse my cultures better. That is my lifelong vision as an artist. This blend, this fusion of cultures. I'm not a purist in that sense, I don't make pure Afro house music or pure, let's say, European deep house. It's this fusion. And some people criticize me for it, but I'm at the age now where, and I hope we can insult on this.
It's internet.
I don't give a if you have something to say about me, I'm being me, and I think it's important for an artist the industry will try and push us into different directions. And we need to have the confidence to say, this is me, I am making music because this is what is authentic to me. This is my truth, 30, 40, 50 years down the line when I'm not making music anymore, I will have said what I had to say in my career and I'm going to leave it behind. And it's at that point that I'm going to thank myself for being authentic and not letting the industry sway me. So the move to electronic music happened around that time, and I've been on this journey ever since. I've been discovering myself, trying to find my sound, and now I feel like I've really kind of arrived at what I see the El Mukuka sound as, and this album is going to serve as a manifesto for the El Mukuka sound, and like a culmination of my experiences over the last 10 years of being in the dance music industry.
You know what? Hearing you talk about, this is how you grew up. And talking about being honest with yourself as well. I find that that's something so lacking in a lot of young musicians nowadays. It's like they just want to cater to how the now is happening, and they want to cater to what the people are demanding of them to cater. Do you get what I'm saying? Did you find that there was an issue for you when you were younger? Let's not talk about now, but when you were younger, were you not influenced in trying to cater for the now?
For sure, but I think what has affected me even more, and why I seem a little probably heated up, is because of the industry wanting to box us.
Sure.
You know, and especially when it comes to promoters.
Sure.
You know, they're like, nah, your sound is a little bit too mainstream for us. Bro, I don't give a you know, this is my sound. If we all try and push the same sound, we try and imitate other people. I mean, with Black Coffee's success, that has created a wave of new DJs that are all trying to be like Black Coffee. The truth is, they will never be like him. There can only be one. So we all need to stay as authentic as we can. So it's more so in that, like, gatekeepers, decision makers judging you for being you, that bothers me. Not so much about feeling like the public is not into the public will always kind of resonate to what feels good. It's more the industry itself trying to force this categorization system on our music.
100%, I completely agree.
And being half white and half black, I've never fit in. I go to Greece, they think I'm 100% African. They don't see any European spot on me until I start speaking Greek, and they're like, okay. Maybe it's confusing. But he's still not Greek enough. We can accept you, but you are still not 100%. And I'm in Zambia, and they're like, this guy. Like, you know, if I go to a Zambian village, they will call me Muzungu. What does Mzungu mean? Mzungu is like the foreigner, the outsider.
Oh, I see.
It's usually referred to white people.
Okay.
So they will think I'm white in a Zambian village. Like, can you believe it?
That's hectic, actually.
So growing up, I've never fit in, which makes me more defiant and more confident to be me, even in my music.
I think it's also, now that you mentioned it, because I did ask you before we went in front of the mic and the cameras, Ogoti, do you find that it's difficult for you to culturally fit in, or do people classify you or even judge you culturally, and how that is sitting with you? And I think you can just share a bit on that as well, because there are people who just struggle with their culture identifications in certain places. So what kind of struggles have you seen that you can share with us relating to your culture, and how have you then managed to overlook all of those? Do you get me?
Yeah, I mean, some of them I've mentioned already. I mean, in my personal life, not really fitting in either of my countries or my cultures. You know, in a Greek setting, they will accept me, but deep down I kind of feel like they still look at me as an outsider. In my Zambian setting, which is where I grew up, I spent most of my life in Zambia, you know. Even there are moments where I feel like they don't see me as being fully Zambian. You know, sometimes on national radio, I have an interview like this, and they'll ask me, so are you Zambian?
No!
Like, I think I am, you know.
That's so rude, actually.
My surname, Mukuka, which is part of my artist name, El Mukuka, is such a Zambian name. It's a very, very Zambian name. And it's a Bemba name, and the Bemba tribe is the largest tribe. So I have no idea where this is coming from. And I suppose it's a good thing, because there are probably younger musicians, just younger people in general like me, who are going to sort of follow behind. And it's my job to lead the way, you know, and kind of like make room for us to to feel safe in our own space, you know, in our own skin, in our own culture. Like the future of the world is fusion.
Sure.
You know? These pure breeds, pure races, pure nationalities, they're all going to disappear soon. People are, you know, like mixing.
Yeah,
like
we are
crazy.
medley now. We are a what do they call this? A trifle.
Yeah, I mean, and so fusion is such a powerful word for me, not just because of my music, but because of my own DNA.
Yes.
And just the way I have been taught to carry myself. You know, if I'm in an African setting, I'll really blend in. I'll bring out those African flavors, the African man inside of me. If I'm in a European setting, I know exactly what to do. I was raised by a European mom in Africa, so literally I own these two cultures. And it's so interesting to draw the parallel between my personal life and this personal fusion that I deal with and the music, which is obviously connected and inspired and it's true. You know, I'm not trying to be someone I'm not.
Sure.
I'm just trying to own my two cultures and express that in my music.
Sure, I love that. So now let's actually just talk about your placement in Europe, and your placement in Africa, and also you being an electronic dance music and as I understand it, Afro house, you get me. Yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how things look that side versus how things look this side with that genre of music. Yeah. How are things looking?
So I moved to Spain about a year and a half ago. The reason I moved to Spain was to work closer with my European team. You know, my record label, then Ultra Records, and they have their offices in Europe. In fact, I was even signed to their London office initially. So it made more sense. My management team, which is in Germany, my publishing team, which is also in Germany, and also just becoming easier to access for promoters. Okay. So if someone wants to book me, instead of flying my ass all the way from Zambia, which doesn't even have a direct flight to Europe, by the way, we have to go via the Middle East or via Addis or Nairobi. I'm like a 2-hour flight away. You know, from being 16 hours away, I'm 2 hours away. It's just positioning, right? Like in business, location is everything. Location. Locate yourself in a central spot around all the opportunities and the doors open. So that was the reason behind doing that. Yeah. But after going, I realized that there are two Afro house scenes. There is the Afro house scene from Africa, the original, and then there's this new European Afro house scene that, funny enough, is almost running independently
of the
African scene. Meaning that A, they don't need us anymore at least. B, they maybe don't even want us too much. They want a few of us, just enough.
Just a few of us, okay.
But they're so strong on their own. Their production skills are incredible. I mean, of course, they have such a strong production culture. Electronic music, you know, has been severely refined in Europe, but just like it has in South Africa.
Yes.
South Africa is a country to
pushing.
To deeply respect when it comes to electronic
100%.
music. But it's one country. You know, you've got Europe with like multiple countries, deep traditions, Germany, the Netherlands, France, the UK. So I wasn't expecting that. And it's been a bit of a challenge to actually find my place within that, because, you know, arriving there, they see me as this outsider coming directly from the motherland, the source of Afro House, challenging the European Afro House guys, who for the most part are actually fully white European, zero African identity. Some of them have never even been to Africa. And I don't mind that, because I think African culture is so rich and beautiful that the whole world deserves to share it and to own it and to rock it. But what I don't like is cultural appropriation.
Sure.
And when they release these records with tribal vocals, they don't even know where the vocals come from. They don't know what language they're in. You know, I worked on a track with an artist last year, and we had these vocals, and I asked what language they're in. I didn't recognize them. I mean, every African country has so many languages and dialects, but I could tell it was probably West Africa somewhere, West or Central Africa. And the guy was like, "Oh, I don't know. I thought you would know."
Oh.
Like, oh. Okay,
so,
I see.
So what did you do? Did you Google Translate?
I don't know. We still don't know what language the vocals
I see.
are in, you know? Like, I mean, come on.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not correct, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm totally okay with people borrowing from our culture and remixing our culture, but do it with respect, do it the right way. And as a musician, as a classically trained musician, I'm a bit of a musical snob, I think.
Yes.
Like I'm not a snob in general. I'm a very down-to-earth guy, very simple. But when it comes to music, like, don't around, man. Like, do it right. Respect the music. Music deserves respect. It's a sacred art form, just like all art forms, you know. And back to the pandemic, you know, they really kind of, the world turned its back on us because they called us non-essential workers. Now that everyone is talking about mental health issues, who are they calling non-essential? You know, they're depending on art.
Yes.
You know, there is something called music therapy, art therapy for a reason. You can't just swallow pills and expect all your problems to disappear. You know, that's not really how you fix things. So, you know, art is sacred, and I like it when people respect the art, because that's the way I like to approach art.
This is so interesting for me to think that clearly in the other side of the world, people are doing things that are from this side of the world so differently. Because I had Seth on the pod, and he said that Amapiano back there was played. Imagine Amapiano is on the lines of 112 to 115 BPMs, and he told me that they get all the way to 120 BPMs in London. I was like, oh, that must be shocking.
Because it's hard to dance to. You needed the right.
It is hard to dance to.
Like last weekend, I had a gig in Madrid, and a day before the show, some friends took me out to an African club. It's like, yo, let's see what the Africans are doing in Madrid.
Yes.
And they were playing Amapiano sped up to about 125 BPM.
Yes.
And I was like, wow. You know, and it's because they struggle to move their, you know, certain music is made for certain bodies. You know, and of course, everyone is more than welcome to enjoy it and embrace it. But, okay, this is not a really big deal. You're just speeding up the song.
Yeah.
But it goes back to the culture behind the music. And what I love about South Africa and what you guys have done is that you have so much creativity and you're not afraid to show it to the world. You set trends, you're trendsetters. And perhaps in the past you used to be African trendsetters. Now you're global trendsetters. There's nothing stopping you. The next challenge is honestly setting trends on another planet, you know, because Earth is under your spell already. And we need to promote the other 53 African countries to do the same thing, you know, just the way South Africans have all this talent. Each African country has its own unique viewpoint on art, its own approach, languages, traditions, and we need to see all of that bubbling. And when we do, I don't think anyone can stop Africa, you know, because we really have everything.
I love that you went there because again, before we came in, we were talking about just the community, and I love that you had compared the community that side, and I just needed you to come and compare the electronic dance community in terms of what you've experienced this side. And before you use the words, it's a tight-knit, we're a tight-knit community. What do you mean about that, sir? Just so everyone else knows, because I mentioned it now.
So tight-knit from you mean about South Africa?
I mean, do you mean about South Africa?
I mean in general. I think the music industry is very tight-knit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most industries.
They are.
It's usually about who you know. In fact, that's more important than your talent in many cases. Although the product is, of course, you know, what you need to then penetrate these circles. But tight-knit in many senses. So if you're talking about South Africa, in my experience as an outsider, I find it's tight-knit in two different ways. The first way is it really promotes its own first. There's very little room for especially other African DJs within the South African music industry. Because you have so many of your own, and perhaps you have understood that you run the show in Africa, that you don't really need many other Africans to play this game. Like you feel like you're on top of the game, which is good, but then it also creates room for serious competition. So that's one scenario. I mean, I've been signed to like Sony Music South Africa. I've had mixes on Universal Music South Africa, but nothing really led to what I was expecting, because I just was never able to make it to the priority list as a Zambian.
The priority list.
But this is not bad for South Africans. It's a good thing to promote yourselves.
What's a priority list?
I just never felt that I was getting as much attention as the locals.
Okay.
Which makes sense. I'm not even complaining. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I wish every country would do the same about their own.
Would you be shocked if I told you some of the locals don't even get that much airtime as locals as well?
Really?
Yeah. But, yeah.
And the second tight-knit experience is that it's very cliquey, very political. I mean, as an outsider, again, I'm not an insider here in South Africa, but I've seen the politics in the industry and DJs aligning themselves with certain gatekeepers, and there's very little overlap, and that's okay. I mean, there are politics in every industry, but as Africans, and we had this conversation earlier, we're already working with certain disadvantages. So many, from load shedding to to the lack of certain infrastructure and technologies and stuff. So we are already at a disadvantage.
We're behind, is what you're saying.
We're behind, in other words. And I'm not saying we can't catch up. In fact, we can. But
you think so?
If we are cliquey and we're working in different teams and lacking synergy, not only as South Africa, but as a continent. Then we'll never get to where we want to be and compete with Europe and the US. We're actually ready to overtake them.
We are ready.
But we need to come together, I believe deeply that teamwork makes the dream work, and we need to come together.
I believe so too. And I hate time limits, and this is a problem now. We're on a damn time limit, and I want you to talk about the upcoming album now.
Yes.
That's honestly what I want to get in. What are we expecting there?
So the majority of the album is already out. We did like a waterfall release, because if you drop 12 on virgin tracks basically at once, it's hard to market them.
In this day and age.
You're kind of wasting the song. So we've done a waterfall release where 11 of the 12 are already out. And the last track is going to come out with the album. 12
tracks, sir. You're brave, 12. Actually. You're brave in this day and age, in the day and age of TikTok.
I mean, but we work each one as a single, and we'll even work the last as a single. And the last one is very special for me because it's a purely Zambian collaboration. Zambian singer, a big singer called Abel Chungu, who's also a good friend of mine. We last collaborated 9 years ago, funny enough, although we're practically best friends. And then another Zambian DJ called Sebastian Dutch, and myself, of course. So, and the reason behind that is to showcase Zambia to the world. I'm very proud of where I come from, and I'm playing the Zambian card very strong, because that is really my unique element right now, especially in Europe and in this time and age and in the Afro house scene. So I'm really letting those colors shine, and that's home for me. Yes. I was born and raised in Zambia. That's what I know. So this last track is going to be a full-on Zambian collaboration. It's a bit of an emotional song, inspired actually by my most recent breakup. But I think it's a beautiful track, and it was actually mixed and mastered by South African friends of mine. Cuba did the mix.
Oh, really?
And,
okay.
The master was done by Sean from Sweet Track. Okay. So I'm excited. And it's really, the album is really a manifesto for what my sound is, and this fusion, and me just being me, unapologetically me. I fought for this album to come out. In the beginning, Ultra was like, no, we don't want you to put out an album. We don't think it's the right time. We don't want to invest in an album. And I was like, okay, cool. That's cool. You do you. I'm gonna do me.
Wait, what does that mean? Like, they said no, but you said I'm doing it anyway.
And it still has tracks that I released to Ultra on it. I find ways. As Africans, we find ways. We are solution finders. Yeah. You can never say no to me. I'll find a way. So it's those Ultra tracks are on the album, and it's still coming out in a month. We found a way, and so because it was very important for me, it had to happen. It had to happen now, before I turned 31. It had to happen now.
When do you turn 31?
October.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And I have a long ass to-do list between now and October.
Okay. I would love to see that list. So possible? Just for me, I just want to see it. Okay. So when is the album coming out though?
Comes out on June 23rd.
June 23rd. Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to try to put that in my mind so that I can be loud about it as well. I'm excited to hear it. I'm not going to lie. I am. Okay. So let's wrap things up real quickly. I need you to just tell us where people can find you, your socials, your websites, your everything. Just let us know.
Super easy. All my handles are El Mukuka, which is my artist name. EL space Mukuka. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, even TikTok, YouTube, you name it. Spotify, Apple Music. So yeah, super simple. I like to engage and interact with my audience as much as possible. So if there are people watching this who feel like they would like to reach out to me directly, either by email or DM, do it.
Oh, guys, this is what artists do. Yeah, that's what artists do. Artists that care, by the way, artists that care do this. But we only have artists that care on the pod. Anyway,
Damn straight.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me, and I will hit you up for mailing list vibes. But anyway, no, I will. I think that's us. Side Sessions signing out. This was El Mukuka. And this is Sai Jones. Let's leave and love you for now. Mwah.